Now, before I go on with this video, let me preface by saying this. I am not the biggest championship watcher in the world. I mean, I'm far from it. But I would say I watch a good 10 to 15 games a year in the championship. Oftentimes, it's of the better teams in the championship, so I'm not too clued up on the weaker teams and their players in the championship, so forgive me. But because of this race this season in the championship between the top 3 teams, even the top 4 teams you could say, I have been watching a lot more championship football than usual. Right now, the top 3 teams being Ipswich, Leicester and Leeds are all within 2 points of each other, while Southampton at 4th are only 5 points off the top. So this season, with me watching more championship football, watching the top teams more often, I can't help but notice an extremely talented winger that plays for Leeds United that I have been somewhat familiar with but not too keen on until this season, that being the 22-year-old Dutch winger Summerville. Summerville has been nothing short of sensational this season, with some people having him as a player of the season in the championship so far. And if Leeds don't get promoted this season, you can almost guarantee that Summerville will move clubs in the summer and likely be playing Premier League football next season. And to be fair, he deserves it. Despite being at Leeds from 2020 and being a regular last season in the Premier League, this season he hasn't only officially announced himself to English fans, but fans all over Europe and all over the world. But how did this happen? How did a seemingly promising winger just explode to become one of, if not the best players in the championship? Well, that's what we'll be talking about today. So what's going on, everyone? You are listening to Back of the Net here. I hope you're all doing well. Please be sure to like the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and let's get into it. Now, in 2020, Summerville left Feyenoord, a club he had been at for about 12 years, and joined Leeds United, a team who had just been promoted back to the Premier League after a 16-year absence from the English top flight. Now, the fee is officially undisclosed, but it is rumored that the fee was only around £1.3 million. Looking at that price now, if Summerville had to leave Leeds, then you would expect that he would probably go for around 20 to 25 million pounds, making that 1.3 million pounds paid by Leeds in 2020 look dirt cheap. In Summerville's first season at Leeds, Summerville proved he would be nothing short of a project signing for the club, not featuring in a single top flight game all season and only playing for Leeds in their second team, playing 12 games in the Premier League 2, which is the under-23 competition of the Premier League, and scoring 6 goals and getting a further 6 assists in just 12 games. Despite not playing the entire season in Leeds' first team, outside of featuring as an unused substitute in their normal draw with Man United, Summerville showed some promising signs at the under-23 level, so the following season you expected him to get promoted. And while he wasn't fully promoted to the first team in Leeds, he had some more game time. He played 9 games for Leeds' first team, featuring in 6 Premier League games, but he only played a grand total of just 232 minutes for their first team. Again, applying most of his trade at the under-23 level for Leeds, playing 13 games in the Premier League 2 and scoring 6 goals, but this time getting just 1 assist. But again, while Summerville wasn't improving at a huge pace, he wasn't going to be the next Vinicius Jr. Each season, Summerville proved he was slowly but surely improving, and last season was his first proper first team season with Leeds since signing for the club in 2020. In the 2022-2023 season, Summerville went from being a reserve player that would spend most of his time with the under-23s to being a first team regular. Summerville ended the 2022-2023 season playing 33 games in all competitions. Now, he did play 2 of them at the Premier League 2 level, but in those 2 games at the Premier League 2 level, he scored 1 goal and got 4 assists. But at the first team level, he played 28 games in the Premier League, scoring 4 goals and getting 2 assists. Now, those aren't the most impressive stats, it's far from it, but I mean, if you take the context into mind, being that the fact that he was playing for the second worst team in the Premier League that season, who just won 7 games all season long and scored just 48 goals, and the fact that Summerville was still only 21 years old and a winger, it made the stats look pretty okay. But even with those good flashes that he had shown in the Premier League, I don't think anyone, including die-hard Leeds United fans, expected to see him burst into life this season quite like he has. The 22-year-old Dutch winger has scored 17 goals and got himself 8 assists so far in the championship, plus a further goal and assist in the FA Cup off of just 41 minutes in the FA Cup. Crazy stats. As of right now, Summerville is ranked 4th in the championship in goals scored. He's ranked 8th in assists in the championship. He's outperforming his expected goals by 1.9. He has created 16 big chances in the championship, good enough to see him ranked 2nd in the squad for that stat. Summerville has bursted onto the scene and has taken the championship by storm. Summerville can also play across the front line. He has some really good dribbling, a good burst of pace, and has some high level composure in the final third, something he hasn't always had. Summerville's potential is there for all to see, whether you have seen him play, whether you've just watched compilations of him, whether you're just looking at his stats. You can tell he is an extremely talented and promising winger, but he still definitely has got to get better at certain things. But at the age of just 22 years old, I mean, he is turning 23 at the start of next season, Summerville has still been really impressive. And like I said at the beginning of the video, as much as Leeds United fans must hate to hear this, regardless of whether or not Leeds get promoted at the end of the season, I think it's pretty fair to be expecting Summerville to be playing Premier League football next season, regardless of where Leeds United finish. I mean, Summerville was already linked in January to Liverpool, so the fact that Premier League clubs will be coming in for the 22-year-old at the end of the season shouldn't surprise you at all. Look, to me, his level right now, if I had to explain it to you like this, is he's either a really good quality backup for like a top 8 team, so say a Brighton, an Arsenal, he could play as a backup there, or he could be a starter for a bottom 10 team on the Premier League, like a Fulham, like a Chelsea, that type of level, although probably not Chelsea, probably be a backup there. But that is his level for me, a really good backup for a top 8 team, or just a good quality starter in the Premier League for like a Fulham. And at the age of just 22 years old, you can only expect him to get better and better game by game, and before you know it, Summerville will be a really good high quality winger. Will he ever be the best winger in the Premier League? Absolutely not, but he is, and he does have the quality to be a really high level winger in the Premier League. And every time I watch him play for Leeds United this season, I get more and more impressed.